Let's also get in Mr. K.N. Dey. He's Director Basics Forex and he joins us in the studios as well. Mr. Dey, hi, welcome. How have you seen the Indian rupee? This week really has had all the bad news, starting from S&P downgrade to IIP numbers and now inflation.
Well, that's life. We have to study that. But having said that, I feel that the gravity of the rupee is slowly moving towards trending and weakening because there are three things I feel. First, very good that the Brent has come from 126 to almost 96, 97. And if we have a monthly Brent import of about $10 to $11 billion, we tend to save about, say, around $1.5 to $2 billion, which will help in our current account deficit as well as a trade deficit. Number one. Number two, hopefully the rainfall is normal, which is Indian agrarian country. So that rainfall coming in may be helping the rupee a little bit. And the third most important, Manisha, I've seen finally government waking up and talking about reforms. So whether they do the reform is a secondary thing, but the thing that they are talking about reforms is a little positive sign. So on the whole, I feel 56 plus 56.50 is possible, but it may not sustain there. Slowly we could see our rupee trending towards 54.80 and then maybe slightly at 54.30. So it's morely on a gravity of the strengthening of the rupee than rather weakening.
Would you also say that a bit of interest rate or a repo rate cut is something that also has improved the sentiment in the markets?
Well, I think quarter basis point repo rate cut is already discounted, and with core inflation just coming 4.99, it gives some room for Reserve Bank to cut a quarter basis point. CRR cut may be possible. I think that's already discounted. Maybe we should look what's happening on US on 1920, and of course the Greece election, which is due on this coming Sunday. That will little drive the rupee more. But such negative news may just make the rupee weaken maybe a day or two. Maybe at 56.50 once again we could see one try.
How have you checked out on the international markets? Of course, Greece election would be a big thing, but how do you see the rupee now reacting in the coming week?
Well, I honestly would see what's happening in the Greece election, because it's a good thing that the opposition party has said yesterday that though they differ on the austerity measures, but they means that they would not like to go out of the Eurozone. That's a pretty positive sign. But whatever goes wrong in Europe, maybe it's Spain with Italy or with Greece, I think the things will come out somewhere in the last quarter of this calendar year. And on the rupee front, slightly positive trends coming in. So in the next week or maybe 10 days, I maintain my same view. Could be 55.10 to 56.05, and maybe corporate should be very not move the currency, follow the currency like a shadow, rather than use at peak to sell the exporters. And if it comes to 55.10, should try to cover their import short term.
Are you surprised because by all the bad news that the Eurozone gets, the rupee gets punished more than the euro itself? That's
good. See, Manisha, nowadays of change, I feel the bad news will make our politicians act more faster and quicker to me. Because the more bad news come, I feel maybe a day or two rupee may weaken. That's as you saw when the S&P, the downgrade news came. In fact, it was a duplicate news which came about 2 months back. They have just repeated it. The rupee went to 56.03, couldn't hold there. It's come back to 55.67, and today because of the inflation data, it did move to 55.80. So I don't think much of bad news. Whatever has come has already been taken inside. Maybe we could see the rupee fall at the last quarter of this calendar year, say maybe October to December. But for next 3-4 months, I would be happy if I see the rupee between the range of 53.5 to 55.
Vijay, what's your sense on the Indian rupee? How is it looking on the charts right now?
Manisha, I would maintain my view of 56.40 to 56.80 as being the absolute outside limit for the depreciation of the rupee in the absolute near term. On appreciation or the decline in the US dollar, I think 55.10 is the first level to watch out for, and then 54.80. Should the rupee start to appreciate above 54.80, I think it can basically rapidly appreciate up to 54 levels. But this is not something that is likely to occur in the next day or two. It could probably take a fortnight or so in coming.
Also, what's your view, Vijay, on the dollar index? Because that also has been very choppy. We haven't seen it go anywhere, especially ahead of the Fed meeting.
You're right, Manisha. People are basically sitting on the fence and letting the news get factored into what they should be doing next. So I would maintain my view of 81.60 odd levels on the US dollar index, and upsides would be capped at 82.85. Now, for the dollar index to appreciate from here, it must break out above 82.85 with a good amount of velocity, so that the next leg of the upthrust can actually signal commencement. Till then, I think one needs to wait and watch, but the probability of a rally seems to be a little better than the probability of a decline.
Mr. Day, while markets have, as you rightly pointed out, markets have factored in a quarter basis point of a cut. If that does not come in, then how do you see a reaction coming in the rupee?
Well, it might strengthen a bit because the market has already discounted that factor, and say even RBI doesn't and has a CRR cut of maybe 25 to 50 basis point. Not much would happen in the market because they would rather wait for the comments what's coming on Wednesday from the FOMC. Maybe 25-30% movement. As we saw today, the market has moved, in fact, from 55.67 to 55.87, 88. So maybe a 0.5% move maximum on the Monday.